Thank you. Calling this meeting to order. Councilmember from Ward 1.
Present.
Councilmember from Ward 2.
Present.
Councilmember from Ward 3.
Present.
Councilmember from Ward 4.
Present.
From Ward 5. President later. Councilmember Ward 6.
Present.
All right, let's do. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Going over our budget, can I get go for the agenda? Oh, it's just a budget review.
Oh, wait. Is it all of them?
Yeah, the whole thing. Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Councilmember Watson. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Councilmember Gallagher, any discussion? We have the budget in front of us. Everybody got one? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Now I have resident input. If you are online, please raise your hand. Be acknowledged. If you are in person, please come up to the microphone so the interpreters can hear you. Please provide your name, your ward, and keep your comment to 3 minutes. See anybody online? All right, well, let's get started. Mr. Gallagher?
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Town of Cheverly. Can you all believe this is our fourth budget meeting for fiscal year 26 budget?
You can.
Just wanted to review the budget in its entirety. We're going to just give highlights throughout the budget. If you have questions, feel free to ask myself, Director Brayman, or Chief Morris the questions. Just as a reminder, I am proposing that we keep the tax rate at the current rate of 0.5799 for residential and 0.75 for apartments. Due to the increase in housing assessments, keeping the same rate would increase the tax by $304,000. Okay. Please know that this is just the document that you all have. It just contains the numbers. The overall document, the staff, we're working hard to produce you another great budget. This one will have the salaries, the job descriptions, the organizational chart, and the description of the line and the details of the department budget. So are there any questions before I get started? All right, so Mayor and Council, I'll turn your focus to revenues. Taxes, 400.100 through 600.135. Overall, we're projected to receive $7,791,963 for fiscal year 26. I know there was a question last time about.
Different.
I'm sorry. Yeah. 7,893,839.23.
So 7893.
7,839,023.
No, no, no.
78390. There we have 806.
You have 7,806.
Yeah.
Give me one moment. You see, how do we?
I mean, what's on the screen is also different. Right? Oh, they're on a different page.
So the ones that you all have are in fact correct. It is 7,806,963. My apologies. I'm working off of an old document. This is the old. So I know that there was questions about the local income tax and keeping it the same rate. Just to answer that question, the accountant and I feel confident about keeping that number at 1.2 because the numbers would reflect 2023's rate. And it would be under $100,000 of what was received for last year. This number is calculated by taking the last 2 quarters of fiscal year 24 and the first 2 quarters of fiscal year 25. I feel pretty positive about keeping that number the same unless Mayor and Council, you all would like to have a discussion about it or change it overall.
All right.
Okay.
Councilman Bennett?
Yeah, actually, all right, so 1.2, this is where are you? One more time. This is the local income tax?
Yes.
Okay. I know it's hard to forecast, but a lot of folks losing their jobs, I'm just going to put out there, is that realistic?
Yeah, I think that is realistic because if you look at what we received in the actuals in fiscal year 2024,
Okay.
that was 1.315. This year, we're going to be tracking over 1.3. If you look at people are starting to lose, and this is the second quarter. Okay. So the first and the second quarter of this year
Right.
and third and fourth quarter of last year
Got it.
is where this number will come from.
Got it.
Next year, this number will have budget implications because of the latter part of the year and the middle part of this year. So anything after July of this year, we're going to have to take into consideration the economic impacts for fiscal year 27.
Got it. Thank you. That clears it up.
Councilman Watson?
I think I just heard you say something really good, which is that for FY25, you're projecting not only hitting, but exceeding a $1.1 million
Correct.
target. And you said by 200K?
No, I didn't say by 200.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
You just said over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. All right. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Councilman Wynn.
Yeah, just, can you, Mr. Galvin, if you just speak to the fluctuation in the hotel motel tax? It seems like it's gonna be the same for 2025, 2026. I know that 2024 was a lot lower. Just for the common folks might not understand the fluctuation between the two, how we came up with those numbers.
Sure.
In particular, that's in one, the hotel motel tax, correct?
Yeah, so that's for the Wyndham, and this is based off of revenue that the hotel makes, right? So let's continue to promote the Wyndham because the more times they're sold out, the likelier is the rate will be more expensive. So I am looking for the fourth quarter of this fiscal year to receive another check so that we can be somewhere within the ball field of the 110,000. We receive checks from this line item on a quarterly basis. So I'm hopeful that we'll receive another one, but if not, there's something that we might have to do at the end of the year called an adjustment, where if it comes in at the end, the auditors are going and do the adjustment so that it's reflective of the numbers.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But we'll go down through license and permits. Do you all have any questions about anything right now as it relates to that? We have building permits, town business license, rental housing license, cable television franchise fees, and cable television pay. Feel comfortable about that? Okay. Keep it moving. Intergovernmental program open space, we slated $150,000 there. The disposal fee rebate, we put 18,000 there. Police protection, that's an assigned number that the state indicated that we would be getting, and that's 110,000. And of course, the rest are the bond bills or grants that we've received. Questions from that point on?
Councilman Watson.
Well, I guess I guess my question is that, okay, we budgeted, $3 million, a little more than $3 million in 25 for General Assembly and federal, essentially grants.
Yeah. Excuse me.
And I guess number one, are you confident that we're going to receive those? And number two, what is your kind of confidence level on receiving them again in FY26 at that same level?
I haven't been notified yes or no or where we stand right now as far as the earmarks that we have applied for. But I will tell you, I'm still confident that we will receive the commitments that have been made to Cheverly. We just have to make sure that we spend within the parameters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those things, well, it's a lot of administrative work that go in behind the grants or the bond bills, even just to ensure that we're in compliance with the state. So as you see in line item 460.140, we've already, already started to spend down some of that based off of this. Mm-hmm. So, I'll have to tell Diane that correction. But yeah, we have been working with the feds to, make sure that we're in compliance so that we can exhaust those funds. And the same thing with the state. So I feel pretty confident on your question.
Thank you.
Sir. Any additional questions?
Councilman White.
Just make sure the General Assembly and the state, so those are going to come in for 5/20/25. That's going to come in before, because it seems like nothing's been new actuals for those. Can you explain that why the actuals haven't come for those yet?
Because either we haven't spent them yet,
Okay,
or we are in the process of working with the state to receive the funding.
okay, got it. Okay.
So service charges.
Excuse me. Are residents allowed to ask questions?
Yeah, it depends on how you want to have it. We go section by section or.
Do you want to do section by section or?
No, we can do section by section if that's fine.
Yeah, I've held off until the end of this. So, okay.
Here we go.
Two things. One, I'd like to follow on Councilmember Wade's observation with the hotel motel tax. And just to ask, which I believe the council member already asked, to try to break down the failure and the actuals for 2024, because that was significantly less than projected. And just trying to understand why we would then stretch to 110,000 when we understand that the hotel industry would be similarly impacted. So with all of the economic situations. And then my second question goes to program open space. That is still very much under threat. And just to ask if you've received any other word about the stability of program open space funds, because I surely wouldn't be giving that information, but you may have gotten information that contradicts the fears or the belief that program open space funding will cease. Leila Riazi, Ward 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Both very good questions. I'll say this. Although the hospitality industry has been impacted, sometimes there are delays or non-payments from entities that should pay. Okay, I'm not saying this about the hotel in general, but I'm starting to find that, and just business in general. So, we've been a little bit more motivated to go out and build relationships with some of the owners and some of the people to ensure that they know us, we know them, and based off of the relationship, we can get these payments in a timely fashion. So it'll be reflective of our numbers. Okay, so I'm optimistic, but I'm also, the mayor and council don't feel comfortable about that number. I'm willing to change it if necessary. Your question regarding program open space, there was a conference call regarding program open space. And to our understanding, we're still expected to receive those funds. Okay. Of course, there have been a lot of budget cuts on the state. However, we have this money allocated for a designated project that we want to move forward with, and that we've been talking about for a very long time. It's my understanding that we've indicated to them what the project would be, especially if we get additional funds to supplement the cost of it so that we didn't have to provide any additional funds. So we're trying to thread the needle on that, if you will, by using program open space and other grant funds to finalize a project that we've all been waiting for so long. And that's the pathway over at the Kimmel Park, et cetera. So that's where we are with that. Feel pretty confident about it. This fiscal year, don't know what the future of it will be in the future.
Thank you very much.
Anything else for me? So we'll go to fines and forfeitures. So, Mayor and Council, I do know that there was another question about this, the speed camera. Okay. So on the revenue and on the expenditures, we're just going to put a circle around those numbers because those numbers could change the next budget presentation. All right. Chief and I were in the middle of negotiations with the current vendors so that the town can benefit for this. I think the chief has done a phenomenal job of explaining to you all what our challenges have been as far as lookup fees and why the revenue for the town has been so lopsided as it has been. If you compare what the revenue is opposed to the expenditures, you can get the total amount of profit that the town has or has not made. Okay, the chief and I, we're being very aggressive in our negotiations. Next week, we're going to be meeting with the CEO, the CFO, and our actual liaison ultimate to ensure that they know we mean business. And I'm seeking a retroactive pay so that the town can get back paid money from January 1 until now. So that's the stance that I'm taking. I just wanted to be open and honest, circle that. It can change for the good, and it could also change for the bad. So I'm just being open and honest, okay?
Got it.
Any questions right now from the table?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Okay, so I'm I'm skipping ahead a little bit is there a specific, what line number under expenditures would correspond with that? I'm just,
It would be.
Is it rather?
On the very next page,
okay,
510.125.
okay. All right, so year to date, we're almost at 700,000. Budgeted for 600,000 for next year.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so there's still a profit. It's just not as much as the rest of it.
It's a smaller profit than what we anticipated.
Yeah.
But the chief and I intend on having those discussions next week.
Good. Good. And it's still, good. Good. It's still in the net positive for the town. And as like we've said in previous meetings, the goal is to make our streets safer. That's all the same. Yeah, just I'm glad that you're meeting with the vendor.
Any additional questions? Councilmember Wade? No. Okay, all right. So we'll go down to miscellaneous. Biggest change this year, of course, being included the WMATA overtime and the WMATA administrative fees. And this is pretty much for the Cheverly police officers to work overtime at the Cheverly Metro Station. All right, I'll move forward. Next page. There are no other questions. Under contractual consulting services, it's pretty much what you see what we get. The auditors, legal services, computer support, arborists, our engineers, HR consulting. That's where all of that is. Okay.
I think not, thank you. I think not, maybe not specific to this. Well, I don't know if you're able, and again, this is not specific to the 505s. If you can just touch on, or if you know any, maybe it's off the top of your head, so I apologize, how close you are to hitting the 2025 targets. For example, in this category, we've only spent 285 out of 456. Obviously, that's not representative because it's only through February 28th. So
Okay.
if you're able to say anything as you're going,
Yeah,
that would be helpful.
so I'll go through. The auditors, we're definitely going to be right at 35,000. They went ahead and started the process for auditing the first 7 to 8 months of the fiscal year. So that's where we are with that. Legal counsel, it's been a busy year legally for us. We're already over that threshold right now, but I do anticipate being reimbursed some of those funds due to the insurance reimbursements and picking some of those costs up due to the nature of those. The computer support, I feel pretty confident that we're going to be under the $120,000 this year. Just in that line item, how much? Maybe 10,000, but I don't feel confident in changing that number. We continue to go on down. The engineer, this is another line item that definitely don't want to change. This is where all of my engineering services come from, as far as assistance with holding utilities accountable, assistance with ensuring that the public works building is being designed properly. So that's where that comes from. Everything else, I think we're going to be spot on. Okay,
Thank you.
non-department and miscellaneous. Any questions about that? Municipal building supplies and maintenance, municipal building utilities. Worked out a deal with the Public Works Department and the Police Department that I'm going to pay 35%. They're going to pay the rest. So that number, I'm just kidding, but that number will go down a lot. That's where a lot of the utilities are stored at right now. So we will make sure that every department pay their fair share. And as I've stated earlier, just circle that speed camera contractor. That number could change just to ensure that setting expectations for the better or for the worse. So we continue to go down. Animal and insect control program. I know we don't do any spraying here anymore, but this is pretty much in the event that we need to purchase supplies for here at Town Hall, or in the event that we have those large yellow jacket or beehives, we can take care of those. So that's where some of this money comes from as well. Cable television government channel, the professional services. This is for ASL. This is also for our contractor that we have and assisting us with audio and visual. And cable equipment capital, that's to ensure that everything is up to date. Next year we'll be moving and we'll be having our town meetings and be up top of the Public Works building. So eventually we hope to take that expense away. Are there any questions for me, Marty? Okay. So we're moving forward to the mayor and town council. Right now, the salaries are what the salaries are. That's with the mayor and the town council salary. The top portion of this is just kind of been the same. One thing that you all asked to do in the last meeting was to lower the strategic plan down to 10,000 or the constituent services. So that's where we took that line item down to. For travel and training, that remained the same at $20,000. However, this number will shoot up for the summer MML. If anything we do this year, let's advocate for MML to have their summer conference earlier instead of later because the rates would be more affordable.
Don't they always do it at the same time?
No, they moved it to the end of the month. If they have the conference at the beginning of the month, the rates would be cheaper because it wouldn't be in conflict with summer travel and or graduations. Insurance. We feel comfortable with keeping it at 14,000. Miscellaneous. I think we're pretty much staying flat right there with the exception of public information. We lowered that down to 10,000. Subscriptions and memberships, 12, and municipal elections, $2,000. Are there any questions about your budget, Mayor and Council? Came in under what we budgeted for last year.
What do we pay for the subscription? Is that for PGCMA? Or is that PGCMA and other things? For the subscriptions and members?
Give me 1 second. Where?
Second paragraph, last.
Okay, yeah. That's for PGCMA. That's for MML. That's also for National League of Cities.
So we pay more, so we pay on top of PGCMA, we pay our MML members. What is that additional?
I don't know right off, but I can get you that information if you want. Okay.
Well, yeah,
She the other.
I thought in order to be part of MML, you had to be an FPDCMA, and so just that. And that also gives us NLC by being part of
National
it.
Cities, yeah. So we'll move to the general government, the administration. So this is the admin salaries and wages. We have it at 615,000. Now, Mayor and Council, just so that you all know, this year I proposed a 2% step, 1.5% COLA across the board. Anything in, yes, sir?
Okay, well, I don't think you meant across the board. The 1.5 is across the board. Right?
Yeah.
That's the COLA.
Yeah, right,
And that's,
I'm sorry.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but as I understand it, you did that in order to, because you thought, or we believe that cost of living in the area is going to go up roughly 1.5%.
Correct. Well, it's actually lower than what the projection was, but yes, sir.
And then, can you just say a word, and this applies to the whole town, so we don't have to do it 3 times, but the 2% is the maximum for the highest performers, right?
Correct.
Okay, and so I know there's no like quota in each rank, but the whole staff's not everybody on staff is getting 2%. Some will get 0, some will get 2, some will get 1.
Correct.
I mean,
And then also, and then also, it's based off of the evaluation, right? They don't get it all at the same time. So there's people that will get theirs at the beginning of the year. There are some that will get theirs closer to the end of the year, right? This number is worst case scenario for the entire year. Reason being, everybody have different anniversary dates, but based off of our code or our handbook, you know, if you came in a certain time frame, you either get it in January or you get it in July. So we're working to change the handbook to ensure that evaluations are done by anniversary date so that we can give the merit increase on anniversary date. What does that do for us? It assists us with expanding that 615 out for the entire year so that we can be more flexible with the fund, if that makes any sense. Any questions right now with that? Did I answer your question, Councilmember?
No, yes, you did, and that was very helpful. Because I didn't understand what I didn't understand until you started. Thank you.
So we'll go down to staff development. This is training and tuition assistance. We kept those numbers the same. We do have a lot of interest in employees going to school. And I have been promoting higher education amongst employees. So I'm glad that staff are taking advantage of it because, you know, they get to apply what they learn here, which overall makes the town better. Just going on down, insurance calls, those are calls that, of course, come in from the insurance company, the commodities, material supplies and equipment from year to year, depending upon what happens and what we need. You know, that number can factor. We see other charges, the consultant accounts paycheck fees, that's at 60,000. That's pretty much what we pay for our town accountant / treasurer, Diane Mock, Bridget Mock and Associates. We also pay, I think, some divvy fees, some divvy fees there, along with paycheck fees. Yes.
What are Diddy and Paycheck?
So paychecks.
Oh, Paycheck.
Paychecks is the provider that
Okay.
does our payroll or system during our payroll. Divvy is an entity that we use for either bill pay or credit cards.
Got
It's an automated system that is connected to our QuickBooks. So say for instance, with our Divvy credit cards, you go out and make a purchase with the Divvy credit card, you'll get an update on your phone in real time. You can take a picture of the receipt and then it goes to the approval, to the approvers. After I approve it or the department head approves it, it's reflective of the budget and the actual line item. So it assists the town in having a good workflow of financial systems. So if we continue to go down, we'll look at the telephone. Mayor and council, I've made a decision that we, after evaluating telephone service, we're going to go with a different provider. The provider that we chose was recommended and by staff based off of service and price. We're going to be saving about $15,000 but if you combine all the departments and just telephone or cellular service that we provide. So that's where we are. Code compliance, private lot cleanups, residential parking, uniforms, that's where we get that at. Any questions about the administrative budget right now? Yes.
Is there someplace I'm gonna see the cost savings for the telephone? Will that be taken out of the budget?
No. We went ahead and put it right there because we're going to be saving on telephones there. We may have additional things that we need to add with the telephones.
That right? Transition costs and the.
No, well, some could be transitional costs, but we haven't made that official transition yet. And I don't want to change those numbers until I see a bill.
Okay, you don't know if we're gonna.
Oh, no, we are going to have a cost savings. They've given us an estimated bill, but I don't want to change those numbers until we get there. Okay?
That's all right.
Maybe excused from the meeting. I'm not feeling well. I'll try to log on from home.
Sure. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion. This is Councilmember Briner. Progress of the meeting, if she's able to log on, if not.
Thanks, Councilman Brenner. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman. All those in favor?
Aye.
You're better.
So with the
Want to take that?
Yeah.
Break for a couple minutes.
If you say that louder, so they.
We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break, folks.
reliably.
Right, so.
Okay.
Thank you for that, brief break. We'll apologize there. So, wanted to go to committees and debt service and, wanted to have a conversation with you about, the Cheverly Day Committee, line item, because right now we're currently at $16,000. Okay? To understand what happens on Cheverly Day from the staff's perspective and, what leads up to Cheverly Day is just, it's an awesome time of the year, right? So, but it's also a costly time of the year. So just to let you all know, fireworks, when I first got here, they cost $10,000. Okay? Now they cost $14,500. All right. Everything has a markup with some type of inflation, et cetera. And then there's also the porta potties that the town rents out, along with the golf carts, along with the transportation. There are just a lot of fees that can accumulate real quick with this. Certain signage that if we can't make in-house, it has to be made outside of house. But over the past few years, what we've been doing as a department and as a team, we've been pulling these monies from our own departmental budget. Okay, just anticipating that, hey, that we're not going to have enough in that committee line. So how can we assist? This probably should have the entire number there of what we spend, but also caveat to that is an assistance with the Cheverly Day Committee. We've also assisted them with certain things as well as far as financially. So I think that this number needs to be reevaluated. And I ask that you all circle that number because there's still things that, of course, won't go in there like staff time.
I would like to see a budget though, of what it would actually cost, like line by line, staff time, all of it, just so that we know.
Just a full circle approach.
Full circle
Okay.
approach, but also because there is outside funding that they could potentially ask for, but if you don't know what your budget is, that's the first thing they're gonna ask you for, is let me see your budget. And if they don't even have a budget, then it's
So-
very hard to kind of go through.
So I'll tell you what, I'll work with the Cheverly Day Committee on creating that and, ensuring that you have one from them, but also, I'm sorry. And to also ensure that the budget
Okay, Josh is right.
that you all can get from us will include all those numbers, but, 16,000 was a cute number to put there because that's what we put there last year, but that number is going to have to increase a bit. So I'm just making you all aware of that now. So
Also, I think is next year a parade year.
Well, yeah, but probably October of 26.
Okay.
So then the.
I mean, unless-
For that one should be.
Yeah, unless you guys want to change the date and move it into the current fiscal year. But then we'd have two Cheverly days in the same fiscal year.
Yeah, that's no.
I think the fall has been good for us.
Yeah.
So you can do an estimated for the following year, what the increase or decrease that would play possibly.
Yeah, we sure can.
Just to follow up on what Councilmember Frye mentioned, I do agree the fact that it's more of a line item that I think that you can get more sponsorship if need be, if you have enough time for the committee to know exactly what's needed. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team approach here. This is a day that, a committee, volunteer organization, they put on, but also, the town provides services, support, assistance. And the past 2, 3, 4 years, we have threaded the needle, I think, great as far as working together and execution. My thing is, I just want to be more realistic about this number moving forward. Okay. As we continue to go down, I made the changes to this section based off of the feedback that I received in the past meeting, with the exception of cutting the youth program budget from 18,000 to 13,000. Okay. Are there any questions right now?
Ideally, I wish that would not happen, but I don't understand why you're doing that. I definitely see the benefits of what you all are doing with our youth. But I understand that we're in tough times now, but I just want to make sure that's, my viewpoint on that as far as I wish it could still be there, but I do understand.
Yeah, completely agree. Our youth coordinator has been doing a phenomenal job
Amazing job.
of engaging you through various events. But we have to make hard decisions,
Right.
and unfortunately, that's one that we had to make. So that's where we are there. Debt services. This is the interest payment and the principal payment for the public works building.
Excellent.
Are there any questions?
Mr. Galvin,
Yes.
under committees, was there not a GIC line item before?
There was a GIC line item before, however, in the previous meeting, I was asked to zero that line item out. Okay?
With it zeroed out, doesn't it have to stay on for a certain amount of time?
No, well, ideally, yes. However, from 2002 until now, the GIC have not utilized any funds, so therefore we can eliminate that.
So it's what's spent has to be zeroed out, not what's allocated.
What's spent the actuals.
Okay. And then
So
okay.
actuals of fiscal year 22 was 0, 23 was 0, 24 was 0, and 25 budgeted was 300. But we're anticipating based off of historical, history.
So then should we do the same for planning board?
Yeah, but
I'm just
I
saying.
wasn't given a directive to zero that line item out during that time.
Okay, my second question is rec council. Their actuals seem very low for the amount of activity that they do.
Right, council? Yeah, if you look at fiscal year. Year to date, they haven't spent anything, and last year they only spent $677.
Do they have an outside funding? How are they? Because I would imagine the events that they do cost more than.
I can interject as the liaison. I know the big event is their pickleball tournament, which will be coming up soon, that they get a lot of scholarships and funding for that as a whole.
Yeah, but that scholarships go out. That's not something that they keep.
Well,
But what about like the
You're talking about like
the
the
Halloween and
holiday stuff.
yeah, because I mean that costs money too. Petting zoo thing.
yeah, well, a lot of that's, I believe that's a lot of that's in kind from the Parks and Rec, right? Isn't that in kind? Some of that? Not at all? Or some of that was in kind?
I used the petting zoo for a campaign event, but that's not in kind. That's almost $2,000.
Right, but I thought the Rec Council, I thought that was part of their giving them for either a discount or in kind for that.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I don't know what their budget is. I've never seen what they actually spent from year to year. So just curious, because if we're allocating 4,500 and they don't use that much, should we be allocating that much? I don't want to take it away if they are going to use it, but I mean, consistently under $1,200.
I can have a discussion with them.
It'd be nice to see what their budgets actually look like for each event.
Sure.
I'll follow with them as well.
You will? Okay.
Mayor Watson, did you have something?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I was just going to say, I mean, the 672 is just what they turned in receipts for to Mr. Galloway to get reimbursed for
Well, they also have access to Divvy as well.
Right.
So
They
so
don't, from understanding, they don't use that as much. Is that correct? I don't want to speak to them, but are they using that?
well, that entity has the approval to move forward with it, and it's just for that line item. So I don't want you to all think that I'm giving them a credit card to run.
No. I guess
No.
It's just for that line item. So, you know, if they don't use it, then that's kind of on them.
So question, so is it an issue of they're not using the software that you asked them to use, or they're just sending you the receipts, or is it a combination of both?
I haven't received any receipts.
Because I hear in the meetings that they always, individuals want to turn in the receipts in order for them to get their money reimbursed.
You said they want to or they have?
Again, some have, some haven't. So I'll follow with them to make sure that we do that. But I know that individuals in the meetings are wanting to turn in receipts to get reimbursed.
Yeah, if they turn in their receipts, that's where that money.
Right. But are you saying that you would prefer for them to use the software?
I'm just trying to be as flexible with them. So if they want to turn in their receipts, they can give me their receipts, and then that money would come from the same line item. Or if they wanted to use the credit card, one of the reasons why we got the credit card, I think we were in some type of pickle for a major holiday event, and they needed to make a few big purchases. And I said, all right, well, we're just going to eliminate that moving forward. So you're not waiting on a check from the town. Let's make this process more efficient.
I remember that.
And that's why I gave them that card. Yeah, that's right. You were around there. You were the liaison. So they can use that, or they can provide receipts. We're flexible with reimbursing however we need to.
Okay.
Mr. Galloway, to the same effect with Cheverly Day, because it's like a recreational activity, there are county funding sources. So if we could have budgets for the different events, so we know exactly like what does it take. That should also include if Public Works or anybody's doing any kind of work, towards that event, like what does that look like?
Right.
Because then we have a better idea of what actually, if we wanted to make requests outside to supplement, to be able to do so. But I guess I'm also just curious, like why it's so low? Because I feel like it should be higher because they do so many events. But is the 4,500 too much? Should we be doing it lower since they consecutively? But I don't want to take anything from them either, So that's just, it'd be helpful to have a little bit of clarity.
I think that number has been the same for a very long time.
Did they used to use more maybe?
I think they used to use the entire amount. Okay.
So why are you saying? Okay, okay.
So I'll tell you,
Because I feel like they do more now than they used to do.
so
There's at least one or two
Maybe
extra
what they're
events.
doing now is funded by, so is there a participation fee for the pickleball tournament? Like people pay to be in the tournament?
But that goes
And that
towards
goes
the
towards the
scholarship.
scholarship.
So that's not towards the
So
event.
it ends up being zero sum.
I think that there's a little bit of cost to it, but it's not too much.
Yeah, I think some of it might be towards the actual event itself,
Expenses.
the expenses as well, so. But the revenue, this is their biggest money generator for the year, so. Vast scholarship, so I will follow up as well as follow up as well. Make sure that that's the case. I don't want to take it out yet, ideally.
Yeah.
no, okay.
I would like to know if they need support.
Yeah, that's fair assessment. Okay. So Mayor and Council, we're going to move forward to the police department. I'm going to bring in Chief Morris and Assistant Chief Prowse. But one of the things that I want to stress to you all about the police department's budget is that, and the public works department's budget, they're very lean, very lean. So lean to the point, Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong whenever you get on here, but I believe you froze 2 positions in order to ensure that we stayed within budget. So without further ado, Chief and Assistant Chief, if you can just give 1,000-foot overview of your budget.
Yes. So first of all, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity. I think that where we are in the budget, as Mr. Galloway has already expressed, is it's quite lean. We had the opportunity in the previous police department's budget presentation to go through this line by line, explain some of the increases, probably the most significant increase, and it is cost neutral, but want to point out the WMATA overtime. We built that in. That money is reimbursed through WMATA along with a 10% administrative fee that's charged that comes back to the town. So while it seems like a significant amount and the likelihood of us exhausting all of those funds are probably fairly slim, that's consistent. That dollar figure is consistent with the contract that we executed with WMATA to provide additional police services to the Cheverly Metro. The other overtime expenditures, the amount still equals the amount that was originally budgeted under the FY25, but for clarity and transparency, and frankly for tracking capabilities for my staff and for us to be able to better identify where our overtime is being expended, we divided it between operational necessity, and those are the situations where either we see an increase in certain areas where we need increase in crime in certain areas that we need to focus additional resources, or late arrests, things of that nature. That just it is what it says it is, the operational necessity. Court overtime, we wanted to make sure that we differentiated. We establish court dates and submit court dates to the county, to the district court. And the district court takes those court dates into consideration, but priority wise for assigning court dates. So we try to assign it on the officers' day work during their day work tours to minimize the overtime. But the priority starts with the Maryland State Police, then moves to the county, and then moves to the municipality. So sometimes those court dates fall on days off or during an officer's midnight tour. And then the special events, as Mr. Galloway already said, a lot of the events, whether it's Cheverly Day, Public Safety Day, National Night Out, all of those things, we wanted to be able to track the costs associated with the overtime expenditure. So I'll stop there because that's really kind of the bulk of the salary piece. If there's any questions, and if not, I'll move on. Okay. Hearing nothing, again, down to travel and training. While that shows a $5,000 increase over last year's budget, that's that money. If I want to take you down to the miscellaneous expenditures underneath of commodities, as I discussed during our previous budget presentation, I personally don't like the idea of a category of miscellaneous. I understand it. The accountants have explained to me that it is a justified line item, but I just think, I personally, and this is just me, as your chief, think that 15,000, trying to explain or say, well, we spent $15,000 on miscellaneous expenses, it just lends itself to less than. It raises questions. So if we are doing coffee with a cop, or we're hosting a training seminar, and the training seminar runs 8 hours, so we want to provide lunch to the attendees. We want to be able to have that money in there. But so some of the line items, such as travel and training, where you see the increase from 50 to 55,000, it's because we reduced that miscellaneous expenditure. And we do, I want to assure the mayor and council and the community that's listening that all of those miscellaneous expenses are tracked with receipts. We have documentation to support anything and everything that we spend. The liability and auto insurance, they are what they are. As we've increased our fleet, obviously the auto insurance has increased, as provided by Legit. Materials and supplies is part of that increase is part of the reduction of miscellaneous, and our equipment fees stay the same. Professional associations, we increase that because I want to make sure that particularly our sergeants are members of the International Association Chiefs of Police, the Police Executive Research Forum, and the Maryland Chiefs Associations, because that transcends towards professional development. So again, I'll stop there in case there's any questions. Moving on down to professional services. Everything there stays pretty well the same, uniform applicant screening, specialized services can be anything from our policy and development to website and things of that nature that we have to post and link with the commission. Equipment maintenance, again, that says 5,000. It says we've spent $5. It seems like an odd number, but we did just send out all of our radar equipment, LiDAR equipment for annual calibration. So that money will get eaten up. It's just a matter of timing as it relates to when that equipment needs to be calibrated. And then our community engagement, that is primarily our Cheverly Day, National Night Out, and the other events. And this year, as you know, because of the change in the Public Safety Day moving to May the 30th. Please mark that on everyone's calendars. We'll be holding 2 Public Safety Days in the same fiscal year, and but we're going to be able to manage it within that budget that you see. Moving down to operating costs, that's pretty well consistent. The building utilities, that increase was as a result of the accountant looking at dividing the funds more appropriately between town hall and the police department because they're all on the same meters. Telephones and wireless, Mr. Galloway has already spoken to. You see the Axon on here, that's $62,000. That's the contract that runs through 2029. It provides for our body cameras, our in-car cameras, our holster devices that activate our cameras whenever our firearm is drawn, as well as whenever a taser is activated. So that's an ongoing contractual fee. And then the fuel costs, oddly enough, and I mentioned this last year, the Public Works was tracking our fuel costs. Again, I think it's important for the mayor and council and our community to know that, yes, we do put fuel in our cars to operate our vehicles. So that's been moved out of the line item. That amount's been moved out of the line item from Mr. Brayman's shop over to the police department. And we've eliminated under the capital outlay, we eliminated the need for any additional vehicles by retrofitting and upfitting and bringing out of, resurrecting, for lack of better words, the vehicles that we had deadlined. And we were able to with an expense, but minimal compared to the purchase of a new vehicle, resurrect those cars. So that brings us down to the end with a bottom line of the 3.6. Any questions?
So Chief, I will say, we spent about $25,000 to resurrect those vehicles. And how many vehicles were they, Chief?
5, and we've got one that we're holding in abeyance. It's going to be about $5,000 to put it back on the road, and it's in a safe condition. So we're waiting till we get a little bit closer to the end of this fiscal year and see if we can draw some funds. And I will say, I don't want to put Mr. Brayman out there, but he's offered. He said he'll keep an eye on his budget as well, and if he can help us out, he will. So that'll restore yet a 6th vehicle. And I think it was Councilmember Dalaker that raised questions during the police department's budget cycle or presentation, wanting to make sure that we weren't cutting ourselves short. And I feel confident that we can manage the fleet with what we have. And I always want to thank Steve for he's always looking at the town wide. I think that's safe to say for Mr. Galloway, myself, the deputy chief. We're always looking at the town centric versus just our departments when we're looking at these budgets.
I gave you a thumbs up, Chief.
Thank you, council member.
All right, any questions? Okay, so Mayor and Council will move forward to Director Brayman. He'll give a 1,000-foot overview of the Public Works divisions and operations.
Thank you, Mr. Galloway, and good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Council and Town of Cheverly. Mr. Cardenas, my Deputy Director, is with us tonight as well. I just want to go back to, as the Chief said, we previously had presentations. We went through line by line. I had Ms. Mock take out the general fund accounts, the accounts that Public Works actually controls, like HUR and some of these, you'll see I have a variety of line items. And you may recall that I was coming in at $59,000 under last year's budget overall for general fund monies. And now I'm presenting one that's $99,000 under last year's budget. So so on the first page, that really hasn't changed. And overall, for general fund monies, that is $76,000 under. But the highlight in the personnel services would be the contractual temporary labor going up. I expressed the need for us to have laborers, and I have 4 frozen laborers in the current budget and 4 frozen laborers in the proposed budget. We've really needed to have some additional laborers. Filling them this way, I estimate saves approximately 88,000. $85,000 to $88,000 in fringe benefits from that. We don't pay payroll taxes, the workers' comp, the pension, and various things like that. So I think that's a cost-effective way for us to have that supplement our labor force with that. So if there aren't other questions on the salary line item, I'll move on. At travel and training, we're remaining flat there. I did indicate, and I still indicate that will be going up significantly and much closer to the target of $20,000. The insurance cost is, I think, based upon the fleet and divvied up throughout the departments. Over commodities, we're remaining flat there. Other charges, we did increase the subscriptions memberships by 500. The uniforms and safety gear, we're remaining flat there. The security systems, another area where we increased it in anticipating that having a security system monitored at the Ely building is going to cost more than the old building. And we've remained flat in the other areas. If we can go down to the capital outlay and sort of bring that up higher up. As you can see, this is why I had Ms. Mock break out some of the things, and you'll see that we have multiple line items there. The reason why is because we're trying to, through ARPA and through some other things, we had various accounts created. We're trying to narrow those accounts down. And so many of these accounts, like the that are in the ARPA accounts and some of the asphalt, and that will show up in future on the next page. But in here, the highlights here are, I did put 2 placeholders at the top of the line there, the building facilities and yard and new building, new public works building general fund, 2 $25,000 placeholders. I explained that I'm anticipating, hopefully not to use all of this, but I'm very confident we're going to be running into expenses that we haven't been able to anticipate with opening a new building, particularly a new building of this size. And so that is an area there. We've also rolled forward some of the like the bond bill. I think there was another area that we rolled forward, the federal earmark, and also the stormwater erosion control for Forest Road. We've rolled those forward into this year because we're anticipating that the spend down will occur. We don't have a rolling CIP, and so this appeared to be the best way to reflect. You may recall I said that the Crest Lawn project, while we're wrapping that up, is actually in a past year's budget, so it looks kind of awkward. So we're trying to be as transparent as we can. And we're still anticipating the Boyd Park renovation, that playground, to commence in June. I think I heard an early June date as a pre-construction meeting, and so we're anticipating that to be completed. So if there aren't any other questions on this page, or any questions on this page, I'll move on to the next.
Thanks.
Councilmember Gallagher.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director Bremen. Okay, so I see the 1.688 million for the federal earmark. You were talking about getting reimbursed from the county for the Crest Lawn project.
Yes, sir.
Okay, where does that show up? on this
Well,
sheet?
It's not actually in, it's in a past year's budget as a revenue and an expenditure line item. So I believe once we are reimbursed, Ms. Mock is going to have to recognize that accordingly. In this, I believe it'll just go into our general fund savings once we receive that. We're shooting to get this done by June, but I don't know how Ms. Mock will account for that. I would imagine if we receive it in June, it'll go into a revenue line item in June. Exactly how that will look in the budget document or in the audit, I don't know, but I believe it'll be a positive.
Okay. So which fiscal year will it appear in, or will it appear in multiple?
Well, I believe all of our expenses have been in FY25. So hopefully if we can get the check, it will all be reflected in FY25.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
We get it by July 30th, and it's probably a way that we can have it reflective of this fiscal year.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, as we move on, we are remaining, let me see when I go down here. We're remaining relatively flat. The increase here in this section is, well, I decreased the, I've had a motto to try to always have some general fund money in our asphalt concrete. And so I reduced that a little bit, but we do have $50,000. But now I have our actual HUR money from the state, and so that's the $373,000. What is that? $621, and so that's the major increase in this line item. I've always wanted to have at least $400,000 a year. This exceeds that. In prior years, I think it was reduced last year, but I'd started off with 101 to add to the 299. Now we have more accurate figures on our HUR money. And so in that area, and this is those accounts before, we're trying to bring these into a better accounting system or line items as to how we spend it down. We do have some outstanding CDBG grant applications. As of this point, I've not heard of any awardings. And so that's why we don't have anything there. So if there aren't any questions on street maintenance. Under the street light maintenance, the 100,000 we're remaining flat. That's for the electricity. The street light install, repair, and convert, as I explained last time, and we recently were briefed. I still don't have a timeline. I recently did receive a PEPCO's proposed cost of streetlights based on the years. So we may want to be careful about replacing any streetlights in the near future, because we'll pay them and then probably have to buy it back for about the same price. But that other line item, I think, has a good chance of covering the entirety of the lights. But if we can figure out what the cost of the lights are this fiscal year, between this fiscal year and next fiscal year, we might have $50,000 to spread over that, which may help us accelerate implementation. But I may be getting ahead of myself here. This has been complicated. It's like pulling teeth with PEPCO. Not quite as bad as WSSC, but it's something many municipalities are frustrated on. So I'm recommending that we maintain that line item there. Moving to stormwater management, there you will see an expense of the $373,996. That's actually the Crestlon project right there. So we are showing the cost there, although the revenue is in the prior year. And in the stormwater materials and supplies, the new yard is going to need significantly more. We have these gutter buddies. We have various things that we need to do to comply with our SWIP. That's our stormwater pollution prevention plan. So we're going to have a larger yard, bioretentions, and so this is to help out with our yard stormwater. Parks and open space. This is an area of reduction. And so, in looking at it, and you know, we thought Mr. Galloway wanted to see if we could trim in some areas, and so this was an area that we thought we could trim $20,000 out of, and so we're going from 250 to 230. I think we're higher than 116 at this point, but I anticipate we always save. Tolbert's philosophy is to save some money for June in case something happens in June, and hopefully nothing happens in June, like a storm. But then we try to schedule at the end of the year. So it's always a strategy there how to round out spending that entirety. We also reduced park supplies and looking at some of the past actuals. We in this year's actuals, I know we came close the year before, but we think that $55,000 would be another area that we could trim $10,000. Parks, tools, and equipment, so we're remaining flat. POS is one of these areas that's outside of the general fund, and that's more or less a rollover from this year's funding. And when we get down the remainder of this, the chief already commented on the gas, oil, and grease. We used to be at 120 a year. Between his and mine, we're at 105. So we're actually we've been able to reduce that overall. The county's a great rate, but right here, tires and tubes. When we look at that, we're doing much better. Some of the mechanic has done a fine job bringing in some other vendors who have helped us out immensely, and so I think we're doing better in the tires, and so that's an area that we felt comfortable bringing it from 50 to 40, and so that was a reduction to reduce overall $40,000 more out of the public works budget. So as Mr. Galloway said, we came in lean. I think we're even leaner, but I think we can do well with this budget that's proposed. Just to stay consistent with adding up the pages. Last time you saw this, when Diane had her breakouts of general funds, and I think there's a little bit more below this. If we go to the next page, I think there's sanitation. I apologize, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So on sanitation, there is a rate increase for tipping fees, and so that is an area that we increased based upon our estimated tonnage, or organic material recycling, or mulch. We've kept that the same. As the Ely building's opening up, I'm anticipating this year in-housing leaf mulch again, which has an expense for the mulching of those, and so I think that may. I think we need to keep the $25,000 there to just make sure that we have sufficient funding, and I believe the rest is flat. I know it's not. That I did increase the compost bins and rain barrels, and I explained last time that we're going to have much more storage space, and so I'm anticipating us making a large order for toters, rain barrels, some other things to be able to have on hand, and store those to be able to more readily respond to requests. Sometimes you have to buy rain barrels in I think it's at least 10 at a time. We're not always going through 10, and so sometimes we've had to, because of storage areas, try to get the demand up when we get 6 requests, buy the 10, and then store the 4. So we'll be in a much better place. But overall, the figures at the bottom actually are changed for different reasons, like the HUR money and the POS money. But when Diane had broken that out before, all I've done is reduce 40, and so I think overall for the general fund monies, we're coming in $99,000 less than last year.
Mr. Berman?
Yes, ma'am.
For the disposal fees, does that come in quarterly or in 50% increments? It's about half off of a proposed budget.
I'm sorry, are you talking about the top line item landfill disposal fees?
Yes.
Well, we get billed by the county monthly. Sometimes they've apparently they aren't always consistent in their billing, but I believe that has leveled out now. But their billing is on a monthly basis. What we've done is estimated our tonnage based on our history and applied the increase in the tipping fee to hopefully have sufficient funding to cover this. This is not something that we can exactly predict. We'd actually rather more of these line items get into the other areas. And also too, we're hoping and we're hoping to be able to have even more information in the not too distant future. But I brought up last time that we're hoping to start a food waste composting program. When the Ely building opens up, we may be rolling that out a little bit sooner, and that the town of Edmonston contacted us about piloting with them. Apparently they got a grant and they'd like to share that with us. And so that's good news. And so we're working on those options now, and I hope to bring that forward in the near future for a briefing. I hope that answers your question.
It does. That sounds great. I would love to be able to promote for folks that if they took all of their regular trash out of their trash and we used it to make our, what does the county call it, gold? To help make the actual mulch stuff. Call it something gold. Anyway, I would love to be able to help educate our populace on that, because the less of the food matter that's in our trash, the less our tipping fees are.
Right. Interestingly, recycling. I recall reading a story during the pandemic where I believe in Northern Virginia County had actually stopped taking recycling. There's been various reports on how well plastic is recycled or not recycled. Sometimes it's just dumped. One of the things is that aluminum is very recyclable. But I think MML at the conventions has had MES in to show that if that now the aluminum, the crushed aluminum units that they sell are inspected for quality, and if they find a plastic can or a plastic bottle stuck in one, they devalue it significantly. And so it's an ongoing challenge, but we want to promote diverting as much as we can. That's why we publish it from the landfill.
Mr. Berman, any questions from council, comments? Councilman Watson?
I mean, my questions are for the whole budget, not just for Mr. Bremer. Just two questions, Mr. Galloway. One, so where is the capital improvement plan? Am I remembering that we haven't seen it yet, but am I also remembering correctly that it's sprinkled throughout this already? For year zero or year whatever this year is.
Correct. So the plan that you're referring to will be in the big packet.
Right. They're like 18-page. Yep.
Yeah. However, just due to the situation that we're in right now, unless the mayor and the council says, hey, no, we're going to do capital improvements, we're already facing a $317,000 deficit and no tax increase. So this year, unless there were things that were already allocated for, such as street lights, that's already a part of the budget, and certain, let me see, give me 1 second. I should have addressed that early in my mind.
No, it's okay.
And things like in the public works, buildings, facilities, and yards, all this capital outlay stuff. It's here in the budget, and it will have its own section in the budget so that we can show the community what we're trying to do. Now, some of the fancy things that we've tried to do past or that we may have allocated for this year. In previous years, we may have to delay that
Yeah,
another year or maybe two,
absolutely.
depending upon what our economic situation is, or if we need to make modifications later on in the year, if we find ourselves in a better financial situation, then we can modify accordingly.
Yeah, but I also think it's, and I think you would agree with this, it's a useful planning document.
Correct.
Because I think what I hear you saying is that, can't remember if this is year zero or zero, current year, well, let's just call it current. Current year is going to be pretty lean on that 18-page document,
Correct.
but the out years, we can put other stuff in, and it sort of explains to the public where our priorities are. So 5701 might be zero for this year because we don't have any money.
Yeah.
But year two, okay, all right. So I appreciate you doing that.
Don't speak on that.
I appreciate. I'm not going to speak. It was merely an example. So I appreciate. So I appreciate you saying that. Okay, last question. We adopted a deficit budget in FY25 of, I think, an $845,000 deficit.
Correct. Why is it showing that number?
No. Well, it's showing that number because that's what we voted on, right? I mean, we adopted that number. I guess the question for you is, are you able to take any kind of hazard? Are you able to hazard any kind of guess tonight as to how close to 845 we're going to finish the year? Or do you want to noodle on that? I mean,
Yeah, let me noodle on that.
okay, all right.
Yeah. We've got a lot of moving parts right
Yes.
now. Right.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Wade?
Yeah, just make sure I'm on the same page. I know we want to be aggressive for us annexation, not just Hospital Hill, but the surrounding areas. Are any of those expenses applied into this plan here? This budget here?
Annexation.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I got that.
And that's another adjustment that could potentially be made based off of what could be had,
Right.
right?
Again, I'm not talking about the annexation itself, but there probably has to be some expenses going into that might not be currently accounted for, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, they're going to be engineering fees. They're going to be attorney fees. That's going to be built. Well, we already have a line item for, attorneys, but there are going to be things there that we're going to have to think outside of the box on a few of the plans that I've presented to you all so that we can move forward and be successful.
And just a follow up, I've been chatting with the rec council folks. A lot of the contributions, as mentioned, even as you mentioned, Mayor, the Parks and Rec, those are in-kind contributions. I'll give you more details offline, but they've been using other forms, checks and stuff like that as a whole. But I want to get a final tally of what exactly they need for the entire year.
Cool.
Any other council members? But you had a question?
Yes. Leila Riazi, Ward 1. Yes, and I think this goes into what you were talking about with the capital improvement plan and that Councilmember Watson was talking about. I was just looking, and this is also from Mr. Brayman. When you're looking at the streetlight installation, repair, conversion, I would anticipate if you actually want to build that money, that would need to be reflected in the CIP. Is that your intention so that you do have $50,000 to work with?
Correct.
2 years out? Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because if it's just going to sit in here, it's not going to carry from time to time.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Oh, there was one more thing that's more general. I see that there are only $2,000 set aside for elections. And I would just ask Mayor and Council to rethink that, because I think there's some stuff that we need to be looking at with our election processes, and probably some education of community as well around elections in the in-between years, so that it relieves any idea of politicization of elections by waiting until an election year.
Is it possible to ask a question?
If you come up to me.
Two questions.
Could you guess how much the carryover deficit from, I guess, FY 24 to this year? Can you make a best guess? And two, what ideas, what annexations other than Hospital Hill are you talking about? I'm curious.
All right, so as far as,
Please.
yeah, I'll get this. So as far as the best guess, I just indicated to Councilmember Watson that we want to have to take some time
900,000?
and make a, excuse me,
Is it possible 900,000? I know, I'm just curious.
is it possible to what?
900,000, or is it 900 or whatever?
No, I just indicated to Councilmember Watson that I was going to take some time to make a better decision, and I will inform the mayor and council at a later date in the community at a later date. Now, as it relates to annexation, there's an annexation plan that we produced.
Yeah.
Or annexation study that we produced, and it has all the areas of, where we could potentially try to annex. So I would definitely recommend you use the town's website because it is posted there.
Okay.
But as far as speaking about specifics, I'm not at liberty to talk about that because that's a matter that has to be discussed in executive session.
And closed meetings. All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just,
Sure.
thank you for your time.
Your name of the
Oh.
board?
Mr. McGuire, Sean, Ward 2, and write in, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for me right now? Because I have a shameless plug to throw in if you all finish.
For them, Sharon.
All right, so look, Mayor and Council, just wanted to remind you all, tomorrow, Friday, May 2nd, between 1 and 3 p.m., rain or shine, we're going to be doing tours of the Ely building. So I would ask, please come in. We're excited about showing you all the building. If you don't have a hard hat, there will be some there that we can provide you with, but we're looking forward to this. So tomorrow, May 2nd, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Look forward to seeing you all there. And Mayor, that concludes my yes.
Wear closed-toed shoes.
Flip-flops.
Okay.
Also, there was a comment on the Town of Cheverly Facebook page asking if children were welcome. And I believe it's supposed to be 18 and over just because it is a construction site. I don't know if anybody was able to respond to that, but.
I think that matter has been addressed.
Perfect. Thank you. Flip-flops and things.
Anyone else? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Do we, no, we gotta go into close.
Closed.
We have to do the close before we close.
No, we're still.
No, we're still in
So we can
closed
go into close from here.
Or you- I thought we were closing this meeting and then doing the open to close.
Yeah.
We're already,
This is for already in meeting.
you're in open session now.
I still need a motion.
For, to go into close?
Yeah.
Don't, we have to go
Have to
over
read
first.
Madam Mayor,
Not yet.
I know, could you, yeah.
A notice was provided that mayor and council may go into closed session for the purposes of pursuant to Maryland Code 3.101 of the general provisions article. The vote to go into closed meeting is for the purpose of 3-305B7 to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and 3-305B8 to consult with staff consultants or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The specific reason is to receive legal advice on a very sensitive matter that should not be disclosed to the public. That is the purpose of the request to go into closed meeting. What time is it?
8:34.
8:34, and I have all council members except for Councilmember Garcia. Is there a motion on the
And
floor?
the Garces is here.
Thelma?
He's online. But Briner is not yet.
All right, with that, is there a motion on the floor?
Madam Mayor, I would like to, I move that we go to closed session for the reasons that you outlined. And present in the closed meeting, I would be Mayor and Council, Mr. Galloway, Attorney Deloach, and I'm not sure anyone else. And that should be everyone.
Does he have to list up his council member?
You need to excuse Councilmember Brian.
No, I think she's fine. No, she's here.
Oh.
She's trying to join.
We have a full house. Yes.
Okay, with
So you're
including Councilmember Briner,
Every council member.
every,
We have to say each name. I think you have to say.
I mean, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, just.
okay, so that would be the mayor, and council members Wade, Watson, Briner, myself, that's Staliker, Garces, and Vice Mayor Fry.
Fantastic, all right. There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Fowler, second. We have to do roll call vote, Councilmember from Ward 1.
Here, President.
No, it's an I vote.
I'm sorry, I'm like going through the.
Councilmember Watson,
Aye.
Councilmember Briner.
Aye.
Oh, that's so sad sounding. Councilmember Gallagher,
Aye.
Councilmember Garces,
Aye.
Councilmember Fry.
Aye.
The ayes have it. To the public, we will not return back to